I think we have to be very frank, and nobody knows, but we are doing everything that Ukraine will stay a sovereign state and that the whole country can live in peace and liberty all together. And as the President has underlined it, this is the hope, and this is why we have to do everything that the hope stays. And this is why also at this NATO summit, we are underlining that we are not only continuing delivering hard weapons to Ukraine, but that we are increasing our efforts to do so, because every day counts. And I think this is really important, because we don't know how long this war will continue. It can stop tomorrow if the Russian president will end the bombing. It's all up to him. He can end the war tomorrow, and then we can face all the challenges we are having anyhow at the world. But if he's not doing so, every day counts also with military support. All the Ukrainians here in the audience know it better than I do. There are soldiers dying every day. There are civilians dying every day. So if we are increasing also weapons delivery, this helps saving lives also every day as this war is going on. And on the other hand, jumping to the topic we are having here, I think this is a big challenge, and this is also one of the strategies Putin is following, that we are forgetting about other crises, like the food war he's also launching, like the hybrid war on fake news, but also that we are forgetting about the climate crisis. And we see around the world, if we are forgetting about this crisis, other countries, other nations, other civilians will say, so why don't you care about us? So in this middle of the fight for the freedom, for the peace and liberty for Ukraine, we still have to keep up the efforts fighting the climate crisis, because it's the disaster of the 21st century.
How do you get the messaging right here? Because I live in a part of the world, the Middle East, that is not necessarily on board with the reaction of NATO allies to President Putin's invasion of Ukraine. When you talk to the billions of people outside of the West who look at the situation and say, we've got a cost of living crisis, we could potentially have famine, like in Africa, like in parts of the Middle East, what is your message to them? Why is this important?
Well, first of all, I'm not talking about the West. I think we really have to consider that we are living in the year 2022. And this is a war we are fighting between liberal democracies, those countries believing in the rule of international law, believing in the power of international law. And this was why it was so important that at the United Nations it was 141 countries, not only from Europe, not only from Northern America, not only from Australia, but around the globe, who said we do not accept this breach of international law. Because if we are accepting this, and I think this is the most important message from this Madrid NATO summit, this fatigue which is there, saying, okay, maybe this is too hard to stand. But if we accept this, we will accept that one country is breaching everything we are standing for, and that we accept it in the end. This would be a loss for the United Nations in the end. And this is why, answering your question, when we go around the world, we are saying this is also about you. Every country in the world, almost every country, has a bigger neighbor. And if we accept here that a bigger and stronger and more powerful neighbor can just invade another country and we close our eyes, this can happen to everybody. And secondly, we are making clear we do see, we hear, that also our countries, and there we can say from the past, Western countries did not act in some moments when other countries needed us. And I think this is a big challenge, and this is also where we have to be frank and clear that we don't close our eyes when we have fundamental violations of international law, of human rights. And this was also, for example, why I, as a foreign minister, made very clear when we had the reports on China that we are not being silent, even though in this tricky situation we also need China to have a stand there. But if we are starting to balance between one aggressor, one autocratic regime, and saying the other one is only a little worse, I think then we are also losing the trust in international law.